Welcome to Co-Pilots, the podcast where we watch not just the first episode of a show,
but also where we only do that on the 2nd or the 22nd. So not this time.
That's the episode we need to record, though, because we didn't.
No. You were sick, and then I got sick, so it's not happening.
But we missed our Christmas episode.
Oh no, the very shallow pool of good Christmas TV shows.
I never said anything about good TV shows.
But also the shallow pool of Christmas TV shows also isn't much larger.
I think the difference between good Christmas shows and bad Christmas shows is that there's like none of one and like three of the other.
There's more than three, and also Dash and Lily was pretty good.
Dash and Lily was pretty good. That's my bad.
Yeah, so there's one, and then there's like 15 other shows.
Oh, there's Santa Claus Incorporated. That was pretty good.
Don't lie to me. Don't blatantly lie to me like that.
What about the other one? Vilma? That was pretty good.
Wasn't a Christmas show.
Yeah, I know.
Also wasn't good. Again, why are you lying? Why do you just feel like lying to people?
They're literally two of the worst reviewed shows of all time. Not two of the worst reviewed episodes of our podcast, but two of the worst reviewed cartoons of all time.
Yep.
So, you know.
I think I'd rather watch the entirety of The Adventures of Spin and Marty than I would either of those two shows.
To be fair, The Adventures of Spin and Marty is actually compelling TV.
Yeah, it was fine. It's just really old and dated. And, not super interesting in my opinion, but I'd much rather watch it than either Velma or Santa Inc.
So, it's been a minute since we talked to these people, about a month.
Yeah, about.
Well, I guess about 3 weeks if we're actually talking about the last time we recorded something. And that was the Scott Pilgrim episode, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been roughly 20-ish days.
Yeah. So, I actually did have a tiny bit of a topic I wanted to talk to you about with Scott Pilgrim.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the website My Anime List?
Yeah. I'm aware My Anime List is a hypocrite. They have been for a very long time. They've put several things on there that they shouldn't count as anime that they've listed. That goes against their reasonings for why things are anime, but they've put it on there. And they've put other things on there that they haven't put other things on there that should be.
You know Scott Pilgrim Takes
Yes.
Off, which is made by a Japanese studio?
Yes.
And being released to Japanese as well as English?
Yes.
Doesn't have a page on My Anime List?
Yeah. And so then when we look at part of their reasonings, the argument is always that it's not. So generally it comes down to, is it made by a Japanese team? Yes. Is it made for Japanese consumption? Arguably, yes. It has been given multiple advertisements in Japan targeted towards Japanese audiences, has large name Japanese voice casts attached to it who are well known and do a lot of signings and work like that. And then the other thing that comes down to it from there generally in their breakdown of roles is well, in the team, is there anyone from Japan who is high up in the team? And so sure, the people at the very top are not Japanese, but the head of Science Saru is there, but then the argument becomes, well, he's not actually Japanese either. He's Indian, and sure, he's been working with Science Saru for a very long time, and other shows that he's been a lead on have been listed as animes, but now when it comes to Scott Pilgrim, well, he doesn't count because he's not Japanese. Sure, he works for a Japanese company, has been in Japan for a very long time. It's the whole, you can't naturalize to Japan argument, basically.
I mean, Afro Samurai's an anime, though.
Yeah.
And it was never even released with a Japanese dub. And it aired first in America. It's in lead act Samuel L. Jackson.
But it's based off of manga, so.
Space Dandy also debuted in America, was produced by an American company, and had an English dub before Japanese dub. Is also an anime.
So the production money came from an American company, but it was made by a Japanese company.
It was made by a Japanese studio, but the production team.
But do you know what studio it was made by?
I did. It's also done by the same man that did Bebop, right? Dandy is by...
Yeah,
that's right.
But if I'm remembering correctly, the production team also did a show called Devilman Crybaby.
Yeah, I remember.
And Scott Pilgrim Takes Off.
Oh yeah, Science Saru. Yeah. So it's a little wild that Mal is so...
Yeah, no, just...
Mal is the slang or the acronym for My Anime List.
Yeah, but Josh, anyone that actually knows about Mal already knows it's kind of really hypocritical. Did you know the Animatrix is on there? It's listed as an anime?
I did. I did know the Animatrix is on there. Did you know the Animatrix has almost zero Japanese people involved in the production?
Yes.
Some of the shorts were done by Japanese animation teams, but the series itself was not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure season 1 of Star Wars Visions is listed on there, despite being produced by Disney, being made for really a Western audience.
The Batman series that's 8 episodes, and each one's an individual story, and there's the one that's Batman in Japan. That's also on there, despite the fact that it's completely American made. Although it used Japanese art studios.
Yep. No, there's a lot of problems with My Anime List.
The really surprising part for me was that Scott Pilgrim Takes Off had a page on My Anime List, and then My Anime List took it down.
Yeah.
Here's why I bring it up, because I feel like the one thing that separates Scott Pilgrim Takes Off from all these other anime is literally just the art style. Like, because if you look at any of the other shows we've listed, they have more or less, or oftentimes less things that would make them quote-unquote anime by My Anime List standards.
Yeah.
Other than the art style. The art style is traditional quote-unquote anime.
Except there's actually a lot of other things on my anime list that have very similar styles, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I would posit instead that the big problem is that Scott Pilgrim is a known non-anime entity that existed before it became an anime.
Batman's also a non-anime entity based off American comics.
Yeah, but Batman's also a wide enough brand that they can just be like, oh, it's just a anime made because DC has branches all over the world. They can just be like, it's fine. But because Scott Pilgrim is so just directly comic movie and very much has a very settled Western root without massive like world spread or a large history behind it, it's very easy to be like, no. Whereas something like DC or Marvel, it's harder to do that because DC and Marvel have such big fan bases, have been around so long, have such a wealth of history and a history of doing things in other mediums and adapting and working with people in different forms.
It's wild to me because, like...
Oh, I agree.
Scott Pilgrim Takes Off is so obviously an anime, and, like, it gets to the root of what anime is, and at this point, I'm just willing to call basically anything that's animated anime.
That is the correct take.
Like,
my anime list has things that aren't animated, like, by hand there. They have, like, stop-motion things.
Yeah.
It's as long as it's animated in some form and doesn't involve people, like live-action people, it can go on my anime list, as long as it's Japanese or Korean or some few other exceptions.
I wonder if Code Geass is on my anime list.
It is.
Not Code Geass, sorry, Code Lyoko.
Oh, no idea. I would assume not.
So, quick check. Code Lyoko is not on my anime list.
Fair.
And neither is Code Lyoko Evolution.
That's not surprising.
Yeah, I would not include Code Lyoko Evolution even if I was trying to argue that Code Lyoko was anime. Evolution has way too much live acting in it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I just didn't know if you'd seen that and wanted to know what your take was. Obviously, we both considered it anime. I think we're also on the same wavelength that, like, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and Korra, and Danny Phantom, and SpongeBob.
Yeah, no, I'm literally fine with calling anything anime, man. Anime is, the way the word anime is used as a Western tool when anime is just it's just animation, man. Yeah. The way you're using it is to differentiate it between cartoons because you feel cartoons are derivative, sure, but fuck off. There are adult cartoons that have been adult cartoons forever anyways.
It's such a basic argument to, like, make, though, that, like, cartoons are derivative or cartoons aren't, like, high enough art to be anime. Like, man, have you seen Avatar: The Last Airbender? Have you watched?
No, the people in the anime fans that argue about it, just they're gatekeeping to gatekeep, and I hate that shit. It's why I don't like Mal for the most part. Like, it's a good tool for the people that want to use it to keep track of things that they've listed or they want to go to ratings, but I often find myself not agreeing with a lot of their ratings. I am also a person who prefers finding one or two, like, review sources and, like, understanding that person's, like, review style and why they review something the way they do. Because at that point, even if you don't agree with what they're saying, like, on a point scale, if they've done their review well and explain why they're talking about the way they are and what you know based off the things they've said before, if you've given those things a chance, you'll generally know whether or not you'll like it, even if whether or not you would like it flies in the face of whatever their score is.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you know their taste, and you know how they're talking about something, so you know how you would interpret what they're saying at that point.
Well, it's like, for instance, I think one of the best examples of what you're saying, for me, is, it used to be called Zero Punctuation. It's now called Fully Emblematic.
Yeah.
Hosted by the author and YouTube personality, Yahtzee Croshaw.
He has some good books.
Yahtzee is insanely overly critical. Like,
yes.
But that's part of his gimmick. And knowing that, like, he's going to be overly critical of games, for me, it lets me know, hey, this is what's bad with these games. Like, he's never gonna let things slide just because he may like a game a little more than he's putting on.
Might he blow these tiny annoying things out of proportion a bit and making them seem like a much bigger problem? Yeah, but that's what he does. But he'll let you know what issues are there, and if it's something you can look past, it's kind of obvious to you, because you should know what you like. And if you don't, then fine. If it still sounds interesting, then play it. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. You learn something.
Yeah. Another good example is, of course, the System Mastery guys. Like, they're not overly critical or anything like that, but, like, I've listened to enough of their stuff by now that, like, I know when what they're saying is going to align with what I'm going to feel about a game.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it's just about finding critics who you can agree with in a way or not even agree with, critics who you can understand and like take away a good understanding of the thing they're reviewing from.
Yes, exactly.
And my anime list is a lot of gatekeeping, so it doesn't have a lot of that going on.
Well, I would argue most forums don't have a good way to do that because it's just too many people.
Mm-hmm. And like it's aggregate scoring, which I think aggregation is probably normally a very good way of getting an idea.
Yeah.
An idea of how you're gonna like something if you're following an aggregator who like leans towards things you like.
Yes. But when you're talking about an aggregator that supposedly aggregates every genre in one type of medium, that's not going to work.
No, I've looked at the Mal Top 100 and like,
I'm sorry, reviewing everything in a medium and then listing it feels like a problem to me.
Yeah, and the Mal Top 100 isn't like, it's got some of my favorites up there, but like, it's also got a lot of boring stuff, a lot of chaff, a lot of stuff I wouldn't like recommend to people myself.
Yeah, because the thing is, when you're talking about a listing like that, it shouldn't be so much, because a lot of people rate things still based on genre or how they feel about it on a aggregator of normal people's scores, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because your enjoyment's going to come into it. But if you want like a top 100 aggregate of a medium, then you have to strictly be talking about those scores based in how it works in that medium. So how well it's drawn, not what the style it's drawn in, but just like how well it's done, the framing, the angle, the pacing, the story. Not whether you enjoy the content of the story, but just how well it's presented, how well it's told. All of those things is what that that score should reflect. But when you're talking about a score based upon a bunch of different people giving their own entire reasons, which might be, oh, well, this feels a bit derivative of this thing, or, oh, I don't like how this magic system works, or I just don't like that character design. Even if the character design is presented well, you just don't like something about it.
Yeah.
That's not a review of a work in the medium. That's a review of the show, which is fair, but it's not going to help score against every other type of that media. You know what I mean?
And though, like, if you look at my anime list's top 100, there's an obvious like leaning towards a specific type of anime. Like these are just out of the top 10. You have Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, Steins Gate, Gintama, Shingeki no Kyojin, Attack on Titan, Bleach, Thousand Year Blood War, Hunter x Hunter, and that's just like out of the top 10.
Yeah, it leans towards action-heavy things, so those are popular and it's what most people watch. You're going to get more reviews for it.
There's actually a lot of Gintama in the top 10.
Yeah, but when you're talking about a mediums score, you need something much more like what the AFI movie list is, the American Film Institute.
Yeah.
Because they review and list like the top 100 films or 50 films, something like that.
Yeah.
Just films in general.
But they're not reviewing plot points or like specific characters or like story arcs. They're reviewing like
they're reviewing it from a cinematographic lens, like,
yeah,
how is this good cinema?
Exactly.
And even then there are problems with the AFI. A lot of most of it's old white directors.
Also,
it's classic films, so they have to be in there, you know that shit.
Also, you're trying to grade subjective things via an objective lens. That's always going to cause problems.
Yes.
So even though like they're trying to remove the like biases that genre may create or that certain like actors or directors may create, it's still going to affect the end result because people are subject to subjectivity. Like just
and then it's also affected by the people you have doing the scoring of it, because like the AFI isn't open to everyone. While they're listening, it's like, hey, we're asking these top reviewers, these top journalists, whatever, and whoever you have on there is going to change it as well.
I mean, to spin that off, the Video Game Awards were last week.
They were.
And the Video Game Awards are 10% by popular vote.
Yep.
Except for one category specifically, which is
like all people's choice, yeah.
And the other 90% is from the voting panel, but the voting panel are video game reviewers selected by top studios and like people involved in video games. So mostly your panel consists of middle-aged white guys. That's mostly what the panel is. And so the awards tend to lean in a similar way.
Yeah, there's always going to be a problem when you're looking at aggregate reviews or aggregate things to award anything. It's a hard thing to figure out and flesh out and figure out what you're going to do with it. But it just kind of is what it is.
I think we nailed it. The best way to use reviews to help you decide on what media to consume or purchase is strictly to find reviewers who you understand.
Yep. That whether it's just because the way they phrase it, or perhaps even you just like the way they write it or the way they present it, but that you understand what they're talking about in a way that explains whatever they're trying to review to you in a manner that feels comfortable and like you're actually understanding what that game, movie, show, or whatever it's about.
Spinning off of the aggregate scores, though, Doctor Who came back for a 3-episode run with David Tennant.
Yeah, how was that?
he's the 14th Doctor now, but also the 10th?
Yeah.
Yes. Those 3 episodes were amazing, but like I said, I'm spinning this off as the idea of aggregate scores. The second episode in this 3-part series is the highest rated an episode has been since Chibnall started Chibnall's run back with Jodie Foster.
Oh, okay.
Which is not saying a lot because the Jodie Foster run is severely bogged down in the ranks.
Yeah.
Both because the writing was very bad, and like I could get into how the writing was bad if we want to, but that feels like a topic.
That feels like an entirely different topic.
But also because people didn't like Chibnall. People didn't like the fact that there was a woman doctor. People didn't like the quote-unquote heavy-handedness of some of Chibnall's stories. And, well, that's a fair criticism. A lot of it was review bombing because it wasn't
the Doctor and the Doctor casting that they were
used to. It wasn't RTD and it wasn't Moffat and it was a woman and
And even then, after we saw Moffat leave, people were complaining about just having Russell T. Davies.
Well, no, Russell T. Davies gave it over to Moffat.
Sorry, other way around. When Davies left, we had people complaining that it was just Moffat. And then when Moffat left, of course, they're going to complain again.
Yeah, but also Chibnall shouldn't have been writing soft sci-fi.
Yeah,
like Chibnall's writing are best when it's like hard factual worlds, and Doctor Who is the exact opposite.
It's very much soft, squishy sciences.
Mm-hmm. Timey-wimey and whatnot. To take a Russell T. Davies quote, timey-wimey. But the second episode actually was one of the best Doctor Who episodes since Capaldi's run.
Okay.
It was
Capaldi's one was pretty great.
It was called Wild Blue Yonder, and it takes place at the very edge of space.
Okay.
Like the edge of the universe, not the edge of the known universe, where the universe ends, because the universe is constantly expanding. It has an edge point. And it involves a type of the monster of the week is called a not thing.
Okay.
It's the things that exist beyond the universe.
Yeah.
Not things.
Gotcha.
Nothings. And it was so good. The episode was very good. It's dealing with stuff that Chibnall set up in a way that Chibnall didn't deal with, namely in the Timeless Child stuff.
Okay.
But that episode was so very good, and there's just zero complaints you could have about that episode of Doctor Who. And as such, it was the highest reviewed episode since Capaldi stuff.
Fair enough.
That said, episode 3 was yesterday.
Yeah,
the last episode in the Tennant run before Nakuti Gatwa takes over as the Doctor.
Yeah.
And
I assume they used this as a moment to introduce Nakuti Gatwa at some point as the Doctor?
Yes, we've introduced Nakuti Gatwa. We have introduced a new concept entirely called bi-regeneration, because Doctor Who's entire concept, the entire reason why it's existed for 60 years, hinges on the idea of regeneration, where when one Doctor's time is up, he regenerates into a new person. He still has his memories, but he's got a new personality. It's a little bit like how when we sleep, we digest all the stuff from the day. But when a Time Lord regenerates,
he wakes up. The Doctor wakes up in a new mood.
They're digesting everything from the previous life.
Sometimes you wake up grumpy, aka you wake up Peter Capaldi.
Yeah, but bi-generation occurs when it's supposed to be a Time Lord myth, and B, it occurs when the regeneration of you occurs in your timeline after that Doctor has already existed for a while. So what this means is Nakuti Gatwa's Doctor has already been existing parallel to the other Doctors on their time run.
Okay.
And he is just now spontaneously appearing.
Okay.
Which means Nakuti Gatwa's Doctor's already dealt with all the trauma and shit from the Chibnall run. Yeah. He's in a much better place. He's a much happier person.
That's good.
We just get to skip all of that because he's already been in existence for a minute.
Dope.
But it also means that Tennant's still the Doctor.
Yeah.
We have the 14th and 15th Doctor existing concurrently. And the fan theory is, do you remember in Tennant's run? Because I know you watched all the way through Tennant.
Yeah.
There was an episode where they end up in a museum.
Yes.
And it's run by somebody called the Curator.
Yes.
Who heavily hints that he is the Doctor.
Yes.
The theory is that Tennant becomes the Curator.
Fair enough. That's been a theory that has existed before.
Yeah.
And then Tennant stopped and they're like, okay.
Because Tennant has effectively... Tennant's Doctor, the 14th Doctor, has retired and now has a family life with his friends where he's the uncle to a Yeah. It's very nice. And Nakuti Gatwa gets to go on and be his own Doctor and do his own stuff.
Cool.
The really interesting part about the bi-generation though is Russell T. Davies said by creating Word of God, when bi-generation happened, it broke the timeline in such a way that bi-generation occurred for all the Doctors previously. Meaning that the 1st through 13th Doctor are still out there.
Yeah.
Potentially running around.
Dope.
It's also a little cheesy. It's a big, they're obviously trying to do a multiverse thing.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I know Capaldi still said he's never coming back. Eccleston still said he's never coming back. So, there's only so much maybe we can get a good run with Jodie Foster or like a good spin-off with Jodie Foster.
Who knows?
Because she was done wrong. She deserved better.
Yeah, I would agree with that part.
But I'm really excited. Nakuti Gatwa's actual first full-length Doctor Who stuff is on Christmas with the Christmas special because
that's how we normally introduce doctors, yeah.
Doctor Who's Christmas specials are like British tradition.
Yep.
And I'm very excited. I know I'm going way too deep on Doctor Who when this isn't a Doctor Who podcast, but...
You are going very deep into Doctor Who. Like, deep, late-stage Doctor Who things, very nitty-gritty, things that mean very little to me, and I'm not too far behind you in the series, and will mean basically nothing to anyone who's not where you are.
Hey, to be fair, you're actually like 2.5 seasons behind me.
Yeah, not very far in the scheme of Doctor Who.
No, but I think it's okay to go really deep in Doctor Who because we're getting a new Doctor.
Uh-huh.
And like, it's not just a new Doctor. This is season 1 of Doctor Who now. Nakuti Gatwa's Doctor marks season 1. They're restarting Doctor Who. And I think, like, just like Eccleston was a good point for people to onboard, Gatwa's going to be a good point for people to onboard.
Fair.
So, like, if anything I'm saying about Doctor Who sounds compelling to you, don't worry about catching up with everything. Just watch the Christmas special and then, like, watch Gatwa's season and see if you like it. And if you do, then maybe consider how far back you want to go and, like, how much you want to catch up on. I would suggest going back to at least Eccleston and, like, new Who. But classic Who's almost all put back together, so...
Yeah. Cool. Now, I don't have a tangent because you stole my actually perfect tangent.
Oh, my bad. Was it a VGA tangent?
It was a video game tangent, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
because I was going to speak about, hey, you know what actually surprisingly won an award at the VGA despite not winning one when it came out at all? Despite being so hyped up, Cyberpunk 2077. Hey, do you know what I just started recently playing? Cyberpunk 2077. But someone was just like... vaguely tied to aggregate scores.
Yeah.
Doctor Who, Doctor Who, Doctor Who, Doctor Who, Doctor Who, Doctor Who, Doctor Who.
Do you want me to tie you back so you can, like, get that...
Nope, I'm done now. That was my topic. We're done.
Okay, so Cyberpunk, how's that going? What are you enjoying?
I already did my topic. I've played some Cyberpunk 2077. Topic done.
That's justice.
You've ruined it, and I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I did want to talk about the VGA some more, so if I just go and talk about the VGA some more, maybe you could spin off into Cyberpunk from there.
Doesn't work that way.
What award did they even win?
They won the best continuing support for a game.
Oh, best games as a live service. Yeah. I don't think that's the name of the award. I think you actually said it right.
Yeah.
But, like, how did they win that award? Aren't there other games, like, aren't there a whole bunch more games actively doing more to make their games better?
Yeah, I would agree that there are. Like, fucking Fortnite is constantly doing things, all their different seasons, battle passes, events, islands that they've made to basically just make it into Roblox with all the different game modes, forms, and things you can do. The fact you can build your own islands to make them your own thing.
Well, like, in addition to that, it has entirely, like, separate games within it now. Like, you have Fortnite Battle Royale, but you have, like, Lego Fortnite.
Fortnite has Survival on it as well.
And Fortnite Festival, which is a Rock Band clone, and like...
So I would argue Fortnite's doing more. I would argue Apex is probably doing more as well.
Oh, it's Cyberpunk winning the award is kind of like how No Man's Sky won the award like 3 or 4 years after No Man's Sky came out. They're like, No Man's Sky gets this award for the game being in the state they said it would be in 4 years ago. Yeah,
which, let's be honest, I think these are probably illustrative issues of what we're talking about with the scoring of things, because let's face it, Fortnite's not super appealing to probably the more...
Fortnite's a kid's game. Like, I don't want to, like...
It's more targeted towards a younger audience, whereas journalists probably aren't sitting down playing Fortnite a lot, or if they are, it's to maybe play a few quick games about Battle Royale. I doubt they're playing through all the game modes or doing all the weird shit, creating a bunch of shit.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. Fortnite...
But Cyberpunk's a single-player game. You can sit down, grind down some quests, have some fun, explore. Look, it's pretty, it's mature.
I think when you're talking about, like, a group of reviewers, a panel of judges who are mostly in their 30s and 40s and have children,
most likely,
the ability to hit pause on a game
is a godsend.
I have no children, but I'm almost 30, and sometimes I just gotta take a shit.
Sometimes I just want to pause a game.
Sometimes I just need to step outside for a breath of air. Like, you can't do that in the middle of a Fortnite round, dude.
Yeah,
like,
I've never liked the ability to not be able to pause a game. Like the moment I first played an online game with anyone, I was like, I can't pause, and I don't like this.
Me playing Dark Souls for the first time, like, hey, I'm gonna just pause and, like, figure some stuff out, and then I died because I was in the pause screen.
Dude,
like,
that's one of the things that pisses me off the most about Dark Souls. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I'm supposed to be. If I need to pause a game, it's probably because I gotta fucking do something. Fuck off. Hey, I paused Dark Souls because my fucking stove caught on fire because I had food warming up in the background. Who fucking knows?
I accidentally left the stove on and put an oven mitt on it.
Yeah, who knows? Fuck you. Fuck you, FromSoft. Pausing is essential and actually important. Sometimes people need to fucking do it.
Look, I love Bloodborne, but I agree. Pausing is like pausing is an important part of gaming, okay?
Yeah.
Also, like, do you not remember, there might be some listeners who don't, but do you not remember, like, the late 90s, early 2000s when, like, your memory card's not working, so you just had to pause so you could, like,
jiggle it and get it to work? Yeah.
Or so you could come back in 6 hours and continue playing, or, like, you pause for the night so you could play more in the morning or the next day because you don't have a functional memory card.
Yeah.
Like, this is a generational trauma that memory card based save systems did, and now we can't pause.
Look, have you tried to play Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles without a memory card on the GameCube? I don't know. Trust me, you need to be able to pause to do it though, and then hope your GameCube doesn't overheat.
So you just point some fans at it over. Like,
yeah.
Oh, the generational. But anyways, Cyberpunk. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a game. It won an award.
Okay, if you're not going to dive into Cyberpunk, I'll dive into Cyberpunk.
I'm fucking with you. Cyberpunk's been pretty good.
Because Cyberpunk's been god fucking awful.
No, they changed things you didn't like and didn't give it a chance.
No.
You're a little babby. You're a little babby and you're upset.
They did
You're a little babby and you're upset.
They didn't just change
It's called a quality of life enhancement.
Take that quality of life enhancement and shove it up your ass. Because they didn't just enhance the gameplay or anything. They reset everybody's skill trees. They didn't respec your attributes, and like now the new attribute breakpoints are all wrong. So like you may have like been leveling up in a certain way, and now that no longer works. And because you only get one attribute reset, if you've already done it, you're fucked. And if you haven't already done it, well, now you get now you have to use your one attribute reset to like respec in a way that makes it's fucking stupid. And on top of that, they nerfed my entire build. So yeah, I was pissed and uninstalled.
Yeah, apparently your build is not as nerfed as you thought it was.
It's not?
No.
I can't build it with my current attribute spread, so that's what
you can't build it with the way you currently are, but not as nerfed as you thought it was.
No, that means it's nerfed.
I said it's not as nerfed. You said it was completely nerfed. It's not completely nerfed. It's still a viable way to play the game. It's just somewhat nerfed. It is not completely nerfed. I didn't say it wasn't nerfed at all. I said it's not as nerfed as you said it was.
And I wasted so much money in in-game resources.
Oh yeah, that sucks.
Building healing items, which now don't exist anymore.
I mean, they do. They're just like Estus flasks, Josh. It's like FromSoft now.
Fucking
it just comes back.
It's stupid.
It's like an Estus flask.
Estus flasks don't just come back. You have to get to a sort of save point to like recharge those.
Same with Cyberpunk.
No, Cyberpunk, they just have a cooldown now.
Yeah, you have to meet that point. It's so far in the future. It's a certain point.
Fuck you. Yeah.
So you have to survive like the 20 seconds it takes to come back. I don't know. I've never used one in combat. I've used them on accident.
I used to do that all the time when I played Cyberpunk. But you enjoyed Cyberpunk then? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's a very pretty game. I haven't done a lot of story stuff because they open up the door and like, hey, you can go explore things and do some side quests. And I was like, go complete everything about the game besides the story? Sure. And then if someone's like, well, that doesn't make sense. You're just going to end up being overleveled. And it's like, well, this enemy's kind of scale. And also, fuck you. I'm apparently, spoiler alert for a game that's now years old, I'm apparently dying from like the moment I'm allowed to explore the open world. Look, no matter what I do here, none of it's going to make a logical ludonarrative sense.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go explore everything first. That way, then when I'm tearing through things, trying to figure shit out before I ostensibly die, it can all be done in a quick, fast pace and feel natural to the character.
Honestly, the game needed more of an open world and more stuff to freely do before it set this ludonarrative clock on you.
Yeah.
Because Cyberpunk is a great game. I really enjoyed my time with it until they patched me out of it. But the one thing that makes it really difficult to like engage with the game is that your character is continuously dying.
Yeah, that is the story.
You are going to be dead in like 2 weeks tops.
I think it was a month tops, I said, but yeah.
But, no, I mean, that's been like at least a year in Night City just fucking around. And, like, if they had given you a fuck around time before Jax dies and before you get Keanu Reeves stuck in your head, like, maybe. Yeah. Like, not, like, it just needed to be, like, before you went to the Arasaka Tower did that job.
Anytime you apply a ticking clock to a character as a story thing, and then don't do anything to make the ticking clock matter, then it's always going to throw off your narrative.
Which, I get it, because you don't want to force players, like, to rush through the game, especially a wide open world game like Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
But at the same time, maybe that shouldn't be your story if you're not going to, like, pressure it.
It's always been a problem I've had with games that do it. It's like, you can tell a really good story that way, but if you're not just trying to tell a strictly narrative story, and you're trying to be a more open game like that, it doesn't feel like a very viable story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, the whole Johnny Silverhand story thing could have been a DLC story for a different character. Could have just been a different story.
I mean, Witcher 3 has the same issue to an extent, right? Because
you're
supposed to be, like, relentlessly chasing down your surrogate daughter to prevent the Wild Hunt from catching her and killing her. And yet, I'm going to go explore all the islands of Skellige, so I'll see you in 3 months.
Yeah, and, like, my biggest problem, though, is, like, The Witcher, that still makes some sense, like, the way the way it's telling you to experience the game still works that way, because you still have to do some witchery things, and you would still feel like a witcher doing those. I don't think you feel much like an edge runner if you go through the story doing it the way they're telling you to. You just feel like someone struggling to survive, which is fair, that's kind of what you are, but all the promotional material, all the things they're telling you to enjoy about Cyberpunk is like, enjoy being an edge runner, enjoy experiencing Night City. You can't do that if you're on a ticking clock like that. That is not what your character, that is not what V, the character, in the story would be doing. V is not being an edge runner.
Yeah.
Sure, they ostensibly are, because you have like a year with Jackie told in a montage.
Good montage, though.
Yeah, but like also, that means if you're playing through the narrative and trying to play the narrative and experiencing the narrative, you're not going to feel like the badass edge runner. You're going to feel like the squishy kid who's in over their head.
Because that's who you are.
Yeah.
V is, like, as much as, like, everybody wants their V to be a badass, and, like, as much as the story necessitates V being a certain level of badass, V shouldn't be a badass. V
you are a low-level thug with big aspirations that just suddenly got thrown in the deep end, and you're like, oh, fuck, I'm not ready for this.
Frantically scrabbing and clawing to, like, even survive. Yeah, like...
Because if you look at it from the very beginning, you don't even really have any fucking cyberware at the start of the game. You just have eyes, and you get more because you got massively fucked up, and you happen to know a very nice Ripper doctor.
Yep. Yeah, anyways, I really was enjoying Cyberpunk. And I will eventually probably go back and restart the game and start from scratch. I just didn't want to dump 60 hours when...
I do have one very important question, though.
Yeah.
Is it bad that I have 11 attribute points I haven't spent and 15 perk points I haven't spent?
No, because I think my character has like 6 attribute points and a bunch of... Well, I don't know how many perks points I have because they refunded all of those. But I have like 6 attribute points I was just sitting on because I want to like build... Cyberpunk's a game that, like, especially now with the rebuild, it really wants you to, like, plan ahead your character build.
Yeah.
And I wasn't always sure which direction I needed to be building towards to play the character I wanted to play. So I sat on attribute points till I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to need this, so let's build towards that.
Yeah.
I think it's fine.
My problem is I want lots of cyberware because it's neat.
Cyberware is potentially the coolest part about Cyberpunk as a setting.
And I like net running as an idea. But... like, I want to go with cool, but nothing in the cool trees actually feels useful.
Cool tree is the tree I'm in, right? Knives and swords and...
And it has some sniping stuff, which I really want, but...
Yeah. You don't want to invest as heavily to get to the stuff that you want when the rest of the stuff is stuff you don't want.
Yeah, like...
Fair enough.
And it has some, like, really good movement options to, like, be sneaky, and that's how I play through games, but I have found I don't need those options to just be sneaky and murder everything, even in areas that are vastly over-leveled for me. Like, I literally have done multiple missions now in areas where I shouldn't be. Like, I literally, the other day, just fucking around, I broke into an Arasaka mansion because I could.
Yeah, as you do.
And stole a bunch of shit. And while I was there, like, there was multiple options to, like, break in some doors and stuff, or you could find a way to sneak around, or, like, hack in through some doors, and I was just like, oh, these would require dumping so many of my attribute points that I have to max that stat up so I could do it.
Yeah.
Or I did spend some points previously, and now I can have a double jump, and creative jumping is a classic video game way to get into any situation. So, the majority of my gameplay has been creative jumping to get where I need to go.
Fair enough.
And also sometimes just saying, man... I really should be driving places, but I've managed to get on top of these roofs, and now I'm just going to superhero run across this fucking city.
Yeah, honestly, roof running is a really great part of Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk's a great game. Like, it's just sad that it wasn't a great game when it launched, and all the updates... Like, I get it, right? Like,
the roof running just makes me want to play Infamous and Infamous Second Son again.
I don't know. I can't go back to Infamous. There's not enough in that game for me.
I just liked the movement of it, and even then the movement's not like the best movement, but it was just fun.
Oh, I get you. Prototype's the same way for me. I love the movement in Prototype.
I wasn't a huge fan of Prototype's movement. It felt like a watered down Infamous movement.
No, you just gotta get enough points and everything to be like...
It was too brute forcey movement and not enough like fluid movement.
Fair enough. You know what game does have great movement though? Spider-Man. I need to play the sequel, but Spider-Man had great movement.
Agreed.
I remember when Spider-Man for the PS4 came out, sometimes you would just turn the game on, not you specifically, but like the general you.
Yep.
You would just turn that game on to swing around as Spider-Man for 30 minutes and accomplish nothing.
Besides being Spider-Man.
It was brilliant. Just brilliant. Honestly, I've been playing a lot of Risk of Rain 2 lately. Like Risk of Rain 2, Marvel Snap, and Marvel Midnight Suns have been like my video games right now.
Yep.
But like my favorite thing in Risk of Rain 2 is the way me and my friend play. We set it so when you kill enemies, they drop items and you can choose what item you want to pick up instead of just getting randomly given items. And like, as much as you need to be focused on the build for your character so you can continue playing,
just getting all the feathers is important, so you can just jump everywhere.
Getting Hoopa feathers and goat hoofs.
Yeah.
Like,
speed and jumps. That's all you really need in a game.
And then like picking up afterburners to give you more your utility ability, which for my two characters that I enjoy playing, Commando and Huntress, both their utility abilities are movement. Huntress is a teleport.
Yeah.
And Commando's is a dive roll.
Yeah.
But having extra stacks of those utility moves along with the high jumps and the speed, the movement in Risk of Rain 2, once you get going, feels so fluid.
Fair.
But at the start of a run, you feel like a fucking tank, no matter who you're playing, and some characters feel way worse. Like,
yeah, I can see it.
So bad. But yeah, fluid movement is just chef's kiss.
You got any other topics? Because I don't. Mine's really just Cyberpunk.
I mean, it really depends. Do we want to talk about wrestling? The answer for me is not really. There's some cool stuff going on in AEW. CM Punk made his debut in WWE.
Gross.
There's a bunch of like fan warfare because WWE fans think, haha, we have CM Punk now, you guys don't.
And AEW's just like, it's fine, we don't want him. He's
and AEW fans are like, no, you don't understand. We fired him because he was getting in fights backstage. We don't want the motherfucker. And it's just the internet wrestling community sucks. And I just want to watch people pretend to fight and tell stories. And
I'm going to give my general addendum that I always do. All internet fandoms suck.
Yeah, I just think some internet fandoms suck more.
Fandoms are bad. You can find really cool people in fandoms, and there's people who do some really great shit in fandom spheres, but my general consensus is the majority of fandoms get toxic and weird and bad.
Yeah. Actually, while we're talking about toxic fandoms, and while I'm talking about wrestling, Sean Ross Sapp, the host of Fightful, the editor-in-chief of Fightful.
The guy who is responsible for making like 6 more hours of wrestling content a week that you watch for some reason.
He's on all just review stuff. He also does like backstage stuff and interviews, and it's a very large umbrella what Fightful covers. But he also trained as a professional wrestler, and he trained MMA. And last weekend, he had a match against a good friend of his named Shaza McKenzie.
Yeah.
It's an intergender match, but like she's an actual professional wrestler at this point, and he is mostly a dirt sheet dude. So like, but he like spent a year getting in shape for it. And like, he took no money from the match. The money that Black Label Pro paid him, he instead donated to NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Health.
National Alliance for Mental Illness, I believe?
Yes, that's what it is. And like, he spent the entire month...
Or association.
It's an I, so it's...
I was talking about for the A.
Oh yeah, maybe. He spent the entire like 2 months run up of like advertising for this, like just pushing donations for NAMI. Like,
fair. Him
and Shaza together raised, counting his what would have been his paycheck for the match, almost $11,000 for NAMI or something like that.
Not bad.
6,000 of that was direct donations from fans donating for it.
Very nice.
And you still have people being like, "Oh, Sean Ross Sapp only beats up women." Da 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 da. And like, he didn't win the match. Yeah. He didn't beat up a woman. He got one really good drop toe hold and mostly got his ass kicked.
Yeah. He did stunt work with a friend to raise money for an important charity.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I just hate people that also just say that shit in general about intergender matches. Like, I'm not a huge wrestling fan. We've made this very clear.
Yeah.
Like anything about that, like, fuck off.
I get to a certain extent why, like, WWE won't push to intergender matches.
Yeah, because people are sexist assholes who don't realize that these are people doing stunt work, and they're generally working with people they really enjoy, or they're trying to tell a story they really enjoy.
And also, like, you can make an intergender match look terrible. Like, not like look terrible like a wrestling match, but you can make it look terrible to somebody watching it. Like, you can make it look like a domestic abuse allegory. Like, that's a thing you could do.
Yeah.
I have never seen an intergender match post-Attitude Era
done in that manner.
Because
it's not meant to be. It's meant to be empowering for everyone involved, and it's meant to be a fun story. That's not a fun story that anyone wants to take part of. People don't want to be a victim in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no one wants to be in that story. Wrestling is just nerdy power fantasy for people who like wrestling. That's what wrestling is nowadays. Wrestlers want to tell a power fantasy about whatever. Sometimes it's a dark power fantasy. Sometimes it's a comedic power fantasy.
Well, it's not always power fantasy.
Sometimes they just want to tell a comedy piece through physical work.
Or sometimes it's like this is a deep story about like struggling with your inner demons and overcoming them. Yeah. And like,
but even then, that's a power fantasy.
Yeah, it's about being strong enough to like overcome.
It's a power fantasy about your mental health at that point.
Yeah, and like that's what Malachi Black's whole thing is. That's what Mox's stuff is.
Yeah,
a lot of like that stuff is about being stronger than the worst parts of yourself, and like that's empowering. That's cool shit. Like, when Mox is talking about like how he till like 2 years ago was legitimately struggling with alcoholism and like painkillers and stuff, and now he's clean and doesn't drink and like is actively in a better place. Like, but he talks about how like hard it is sometimes to like be on the road with these guys who do go out and drink because like they're 20-something-year-old dudes. They're young, they're in their early 30s, and he is going into his hotel, checking in early, not going to hang out with his friends because he doesn't want to put himself at risk of relapse. Like, I don't know, but no, yeah, exactly. Like, it's power fantasy, and what people want to see from intergender matches can most summarily be summed up like, just go watch Lucha Underground and watch Sexy Star do her shit.
Yeah.
Like, Sexy Star wasn't a victim ever. Even when Mil Moretes destroyed her, she wasn't the victim. Yeah. Like, she provoked Mil Moretes, and like that's a terrible like domestic abuse if like you're taking that as an allegory. Like, she was actually trying to start a fight with Mil Moretes, and his character is literally a dude who kills people. Like, that's his character.
The problem is people in intergender matches are taking in these non-wrestling ideas and applying them to it when wrestling, especially when we're talking about an intergender match like this, I don't feel like the wrestlers are in and being like, well, this is what I have to do because I'm the woman, and this is what you have to do because you're the guy. It's, we are both wrestlers. We both want to tell this story. The stories hardly ever, especially in an intergender match, revolve around the issue of their gender.
Yeah, no. In the case of Sexy Star,
if it's mentioned, it's normally by an announced team, and it's not a big proponent of the story. It's just like something they'll throw out. But like,
the announced team,
that's not part of the story. The story is not focusing on their gender. Their story is focusing on a bigger concept normally. No, if it is focusing on gender, it's probably going to be focusing on the inequality of the situation. It's like, by which I mean the inequality of like not being able to get spots or these matches because of their gender, not getting enough brand appeal.
Or like the inequality in like the same way that a good announced team puts over Rey Mysterio trying to like go up against somebody like Bobby Lashley or Kane or Undertaker. It's, he has a long way to go because he is 5.5 feet tall and this dude's like almost 7 feet. Yeah. And that's the same way intergender matches are put over when good announced teams handle them. It's, this match is unevenly balanced. What can she do to like bring that back in her favor? In Rey Mysterio's case, it's always he's high flying and fast. Yeah,
going into it with the mentality of like, this female wrestler's weaker, she's going to be bad because she's female, is an extremely negative, sexist viewpoint in there. And I'm not saying you have to walk into every intergender match and immediately root for the woman. No, that's not going to be good for the story. That's not going to necessarily fit the character that they're portraying. Or maybe you just don't like them. But going in with the view of like, this insert other person is immediately horribly violent and awful because they're fighting a woman. No, because you're immediately unempowering the female wrestler at that point just because they're a woman. You are participating in being extremely sexist by immediately outcrying an issue that has not appeared.
Anyways, that's wrestling. I can't stand the IWC. Like, Sean Ross Sapp and Shaza did this really cool thing for charity, and it came together because like Shaza saw a video of Sean from back when he did do wrestling stuff, doing a flat-footed jump from the ground to the hood of a car, and she's like, holy shit, he's got some jump. Yeah, and like that video led to them like joking about, I could beat you in a match, like haha. But because they're both internet personalities as well, that spun out into like their fandoms being like, Sean Ross Sapp could beat you in a match, Shaza McKenzie could beat you in a match. And like, because the joke spun out so far,
they said let's fucking do it.
Yeah, and like, so what? It was for charity. It's two friends working together. Like, the biggest thing, and like, especially with intergender matches, the biggest thing to remember is wrestling is just drama. It's fake. It's just fake. Theater. It's all fucking theater.
Yeah, you don't get upset when fucking Black Widow fights someone in an MCU film. Fuck off.
Sorry about the wrestling spiel, but like, it just aggravated me so much.
It's the last bit of time that I wanted us to get to.
Yeah,
that's why I asked if you had another topic. Otherwise, I was just going to be like, cool, we're done.
It just aggravates me so much sometimes. But I guess that's why when you enjoy something, you should do your best to just stay away from internet fandoms. Like, they just ruin the experience in a way that...
They're weird, toxic, and gross more often than not.
And if you can find a nice little corner of the internet where your little fandom can thrive without all that, cherish it. Oh, God, cherish it.
Until no one else. They will find a way to ruin it.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Anyways, that's been This in the Cockpit.
Yep, we'll probably be back.
Probably.
But if you want Christmas-related stuff, because, oh my fucking God, you cannot find a series about Hanukkah, or fucking Kwanzaa, or Saturnalia, or Yule, or any fucking thing. You don't know how many holidays I looked up? Trying to find series about them just so I could have something to review that wasn't fucking Christmas. No, I couldn't do it.
Justice, Christmas is the default holiday. Not because it's Christian, but because it's capitalist.
I'm aware. And you know what? I appreciate that these other religions or like cultural identities have held on to like the important parts of their celebration so much that they haven't capitalized on them in a capital form.
Yeah, honestly, that's
fantastic. It's actually really inspiring and great to know.
It's highly impressive.
But also, I don't like Christmas movies and shows. They're bad.
Oh, I can't.
But we're probably going to review one on the 22nd anyways.
I can't wait until next week at work because for an hour, every time I have control of radio, just a solid hour of Christmas music every day.
You're the worst fucking person. We have the radio on at work, so I constantly hear it anyways.
I'm
not exist.
Just solid hour every time.
Anyways, though, if you want to contact us and tell us that Christmas movies or shows are good, I guess, which is a lie. But if you want to blatantly try to lie to us, you can do so by emailing us at copilotsreview@gmail.com.
You could hit us up on Twitter at copilotsreview. We are also on one of the Twitter replacements. At Copilots Review. I don't remember which one.
Search them all.
Threads. That's the one. No.
Oh, yeah.
No, Instagram did not approve our name. I don't know. But we're not on Blue Sky yet, so don't look for us there yet. In addition to Twitter, you can find us on YouTube, you can find us on Patreon, and you can find all of those on our website.
At copilotsreview.simplecast.com.
See you on the next flight.